I see a lot of people are saying that Strickland wasn't the one that made the fight boring. It was all Paulo Costa. And I think that is probably one of the worst takes that I've been hearing. That's the worst take that is coming from this card. That's by far the worst take that was coming from this card. Strickland was 100% at fault, just as much as Paulo Costa for making that fight boring. Costa kept backing up. Strickland wasn't bad, bro. Chill. Strickland was disgraceful last night. He absolutely was. That was probably the worst Strickland fight I've seen in years. I think that the last Strickland fight that I saw was that bad. I actually think that may have been the worst one I've ever seen. I actually think that was the worst Sean Strickland performance I've ever seen. As far as entertainment goes. Defense looked good. He clearly won the fight. But as far as entertainment goes, that was the worst Sean Strickland performance I've ever seen. How can you go for someone if they're backing up the whole time? Granted, Sean could have done more, but 70% of Costa's fought. No. I don't know if you guys remembered, but every single time Sean Strickland pressed forward and actually threw significant strikes in the last 10 seconds of the fight, Sean Strickland runs at Paulo Costa and lights him up with a front kick to the face, runs at him and brings the fight to him. Damn near knocked him down in the 5th round. Didn't. People are dude, how can you give a guy a round when he got a knockdown? The fucking knockdown wasn't counted. Either way, when Sean Strickland pressed forward and actually threw sting on his strikes, he landed, and he got bad reactions from Paulo Costa, and he did well, and it was entertaining. The issue is 95% of Sean Strickland's strikes were flimsy teep kicks with fucking nothing on them. And he would spam them 4 in a row. One here, one there, one here, one there, 4 in a row to get Costa to back up. Oh, he's walking him down with flimsy ass fucking teep kicks with absolutely nothing on him. And half of his strikes, half of his punches, it looks like he's in a dream. It looks like he's fighting someone in a dream where you know that feeling where you just can't seem to generate any power. And I know Sean Strickland's not a power puncher, but goodness gracious, man, you could put some fucking sting on your shots. I'm fucking tired of these people acting like it was all Paulo Costa. And I was complaining about Costa during the fight. I was saying, Costa, what's he doing backing up? He's given Sean Strickland too much respect. As soon as Costa stood his ground a little bit, he had more success with the body punches, with the body kicks, or the leg kicks. I don't think Sean Strickland lost the fight. But for people saying, dude, Strickland was marching him down. He wanted the fight. He wanted the war. No, the fuck he didn't. 95% of his strikes had 30% heat on them. I don't want to hear it. Strickland's style last night was atrocious to watch, and it was proven every time he actually threw some significant strikes. Last 10 seconds of the fight. Awesome 10 seconds. All right? There were multiple moments in the fight, few and far between, where Strickland would actually throw with bad intentions, and he would clip Paulo Costa with like a big right hand or a hook or a counter shot. And then he would go back to flimsy teeps. And most of Sean Strickland's jabs were these. That fight fucking sucked. And it's probably, both of their fault. I don't understand what's up with this whole Paulo Costa was backing up. Like, there were many moments where Costa was standing his ground. Many moments. But Strickland, and people are defending Strickland for Strickland marched him down. Yeah, Strickland marched him down, throwing flimsy teep kicks with a range advantage. Wow. So aggressive. Flimsy teep kicks with a range advantage where you have the best defense in your division. It's already hard to hit you. And you're spamming flimsy teep kicks with absolutely no sting on them. I don't give a fuck if you land 100 of those. I'm counting Paulo Costa's big body punch as much as 15 of those flimsy teep kicks. Clown man. Dude, Sean Strickland, I like Sean Strickland. This was more boring than his past performances. I'm not going to say he has the most boring style in the sport because his fight with Cannonier was better than this. All right? His fight with Imavov was better than this. His fight with Abu Smagomedov is good. His fight with Adesanya was boring as fuck, but at least it was a title fight. And his fight with Dricus was fun. Last night's fight fucking sucked. And part of it was because of his striking, dude. Casual coming out party, man. Dude, listen, it's actually so cringy how people are just acting like Sean Strickland was not in any way at fault for that. The bias is crazy. Because, I'm a fan of Sean Strickland, but I'm not afraid to call out, a boring performance. I'm not afraid to call it out. Paulo Costa stood his ground every now and then. Actually, dude, Paulo Costa threw more significant strikes with sting on them than Sean Strickland last night. The guy that was backing up threw more significant strikes with sting on them sitting down, standing his ground in multiple moments of that fight. And Sean Strickland's just flimsy teep kicks. It absolutely sucked. Listen, you can be a fan of Strickland. You can also blame Paulo Costa for him backing up, but I don't see enough people holding Sean Strickland accountable for that fight fucking sucking. I don't see enough people holding him accountable as well. Costa was backing up. What do you expect? Strickland was trying to go to war. Strickland is a 90% defense fighter. 95% of his strikes are flimsy teep kicks, not a regular teep kick, not a push kick, not dig into the body. Flimsy ass teep kicks, spamming them. So every time Paulo Costa can even think about getting in range, Strickland is pushing him back, right? You're trying to get into range. You're trying to stand your ground. Here's a flimsy teep kick. Here's a flimsy teep kick. Is there anything behind it? Yeah, a flimsy jab. That's not even meant to land. He's just kind of, dude, I'm sorry, but Sean Strickland, every time he would actually move forward and throw with serious intention, would land. He had Paulo Costa shelling up. He had moments where he was ripping up Paulo Costa against the fence. Whenever he would attempt to actually put Sting on a shot, he would land. Unfortunately, that was only 5% of his strikes. Man. Dude. Listen, I know you guys don't understand that you can critique a fighter that you like. But I guess in this chat, everyone thinks that you have to be completely biased. If you like a fighter, you can never critique their performance. I don't care if Sean Strickland's one of the most entertaining personalities in the sport. I don't care. I'll critique his performance, especially when no one else is doing it. No one else is really doing it. They're all critiquing Costa. So I'm going to be the one to also critique both. Again, Costa's never had a boring fight in his entire career. Not one. Never had a boring fight. Sean Strickland just gave him his first. Man. Bro. I just don't like this, bro. You're like, this is not the popular take. You're supposed to glaze Strickland, dude. Stop. Man. Fuck you. All right. Man. I think Costa at least offered more offense, to be honest. Bro, when it came to real offense with substance, real significant strikes, I'm not the only one that noticed this. It seems like people are fucking blind. I don't care if Sean Strickland threw 50 more strikes per round when 49 of them were flimsy teep kicks. This is the impact. This is the impact of a flimsy teep kick. That's the impact of Sean Strickland's teep kicks. Whoa, he landed 50 of those. I don't give a fuck. Oh my God. Dude, I got to smash my head against the wall to get this. I got to knock some sense into these MMA fans, man. And listen, I'm a fan of Strickland. I talked to him last night. I talked to Sean last night, and I said, hey, man, you get great performance. Good performance, guy. But it was tough to watch. And Strickland said, I know. I was only throwing these flimsy teep kicks. I was like, yeah. So, yeah. People defending Strickland are saying the exact same thing as the people who defend Izzy after saying his fights are boring. 100%. 100%. It's the same thing. Dude, it's up to his opponents, Adesanya's asking to fight, but his opponents just don't engage. Adesanya is not engaging with them either. I don't care if you're moving forward or if you're moving backwards. There are plenty of fighters that can fight on the back foot with high output. Classic example, Alexander Volkanovski can fight on the back foot with high output. There are plenty of fighters that can fight on the front foot with low output. Classic example, Sean Strickland against Adesanya, moving forward the entire time. His output against Izzy, I'm talking about his output last night. His output against Adesanya in their fight sucked. He still won, and he got a knockdown in the first. 100% it was impressive. His defense is amazing. Let's not even we're not scoffing over that. But my point is, against Adesanya, Strickland was moving forward the entire time. Adesanya was throwing way more than him, trying to land. Strickland was the guy that was defending everything, but hardly throwing any punches with any sting on them. Same thing when Izzy fought guys like Cannonier and Vettori. These guys don't want to engage, man, but Adesanya is not allowing them to engage as well. People, again, the bias is crazy, and I think that Strickland's even worse than Adesanya when it comes to this. Again, against Izzy, Adesanya would throw 50 strikes, right? He would land 10 of them. Sean Strickland would throw 12 strikes. He would land 10 of them. Or he would land 11 of them or some shit like that. That was the difference. Why are you so mad? Because I already know that people are so attached to Strickland that they're not ever willing to step back and actually critique a performance of his. I understand when you're a fan of a fighter, you want to just say, "Oh man, it was the other guy's fault if a fight is boring." But I'm a fan of Strickland more so than I am a fan of Costa, and I'm going to sit here and tell the truth because last night I was frustrated while watching the fight because I see this. The frustrating part to me was seeing Sean Strickland land hard shots whenever he would actually commit to them. The last 10 seconds of the fight pissed me off. Sean Strickland starts running at Costa like a wild man, screaming at him, throwing front kicks. Like, yeah, I'm really putting a stamp on this. Where was 40% of that energy? Where was 10% of that energy throughout the 5-round fight? I don't expect you to do that throughout the 5 rounds. Where was 10% of that? I'm right. I'm right. I'm right. 100%. Sean literally dropped Costa multiple times. None of them were counted, and they were the weakest knockdowns I've ever seen in my entire life. You listen, when it comes to robberies, I think judges get it wrong sometimes. Sometimes they get knockdowns wrong by not counting them, but those were not knockdowns. I've seen a million knockdowns that were harder than that weren't counted as knockdowns. You're not counting those as knockdowns. And they weren't. They literally weren't counted as knockdowns. L, man. L, bro. Sean Strickland's knockdowns were kicks to the guard of Paulo Costa when Costa's catching him, catching his foot in the cage. That was a Sean Strickland knockdown. I don't want to hear it. L, man. L, dude. Okay, you could say that all you want. Dude, I just think that Sean Strickland, whenever he let his hands go and actually committed to a punch, landed them, but he did that 5% of the time. 5% of his strikes was actually him committing. Whenever he would commit, he would land, and Costa wouldn't counter with anything hard. There was no serious threat coming from Paulo Costa when it came to a KO threat. Sean Strickland gave him too much respect as well and, made it boring as fuck, just as much as Costa did. Hard to blame Sean Strickland when he was walking forward for 25 minutes and Costa chose to keep backing up. That's on Costa. Yeah, but it's not as simple as that's on Costa. Sean Strickland was walking down Adesanya for 25 minutes straight. Adesanya was throwing way more strikes than him than in their fight. Yet Sean Strickland threw way less strikes, defended most of Adesanya's strikes, so he still won. But his output was atrocious in that fight too. He still won. Still made it look good defensively. But you can blame a fighter for making it slow when they're hardly throwing any output themselves. Against Adesanya, I just proved your point wrong. Sean Strickland threw, at best, 5 punches per round and like 10 flimsy teep kicks. Last night, it was worse. He threw 20 flimsy teep kicks per round and 3 punches with significance on them. And then 50 punches going like this. And I'm not even exaggerating. He wasn't even trying to hit Paulo Costa 90% of the time. You can make a fight boring if you're backing someone up. You 100% can. Again, if you say no, you can't, man. Then how come Sean Strickland threw 10 punches around against Adesanya? Still made a miss, still won. But I'm just saying you can make it boring. This is not about who won the fight. Obviously, Sean Strickland won the fight. This is just about like the fact that it's not just the fact that, one guy's backing up, so therefore he's the one making it boring. People said the same shit about Adesanya back in the day. Same thing with Thiago Santos, right? People would say Walker's boring or Magomed Ankalaev is boring. Rakic is boring. They haven't had many boring fights outside of a Thiago Santos matchup. Paulo Costa just had his first boring fight throughout his entire career, and it was against Sean Strickland. So it's not anti-American. It's not anti-American. I just don't need to deep throat every single fighter from America's performance and delusionally say that their performance was amazing and entertaining. I'm a Sean Strickland fan, and I like Sean Strickland, but I'm not just going to deep throat every single performance. One of the reasons why this is annoying is because everyone is calling out Costa for making it boring and no one's calling out Strickland as well. And I have a big channel and, I want to keep it real. Shout out to Bedtime. I saw a Bedtime's video on it too. Anti-American and Russian Glazer. Well, here's the thing. If Sean Strickland actually went out there and knocked people down and beat the fuck out of people, then it would be different. But, hey, I'm not sitting here saying Sean Strickland has the most boring style. That would be recency bias. Sean Strickland's fights with Dricus and his fight with Adesanya was a title fight. He knocked him down. It was a big upset. His fight with Jared Cannonier, his fight with Imavov, his fight with Abus Magomedov, even his fights with Uriah Hall, even his fights with Jack Hermanson, that was a bit boring. But every single fight that he's had between last night and Jack Hermanson was much better than last night. I'm just critiquing his performance last night. I do not think Sean Strickland is the most entertaining fighter. He's obviously a little bit boring, and we all know that. But my point is, last night was particularly bad. This is not me saying Sean Strickland's the most boring fighter in the sport. This is just saying last night's performance was horrible. And I don't understand how anyone can sit there and say he was marching him down. With what? Flimsy teep kicks with nothing on them. WMMA shadow boxing. That's what he was doing. WMMA shadow boxing and flimsy teep kicks. But because his defense is so good, Costa can throw 20 hard strikes. He'll only land 12 of them. Sean Strickland will land 30 total strikes, and he'll land a couple of solid punches, and that's basically it. But whenever he threw punches with any sting on them, he would land. He would back Costa up, and he would get a good reaction or a bad reaction out of Costa. And that was annoying to see, because it was like, bro, why are you doing this for 5 seconds of every single round? Walked him down. Yeah, people can walk other fighters down and hardly throw any output. Walked him down with what? With 3 significant punches per round? And you're telling me that isn't boring? I don't give a fuck who's moving forwards and who's moving backwards. You can move forward and hardly throw anything. All right? You can move forward and hardly throw anything. You think you could front kick a bear, but when Sean Strickland kicks you, you don't see it as damage? Oh my goodness. The difference between a Sean Strickland front kick and a front kick is we're talking about flimsy front kicks. Last night, I saw the flimsiest front kicks I've ever seen in my entire life. We clown Yuri Prohaska for his flimsy kicks. Sean Strickland's kicks last night had 50% less sting on them than his kicks in his last fight, than his kicks in the fight before that. The flimsiest teeps I've ever seen. Last night, I don't know what happened. It looked like Sean Strickland had lost 50% of his power, and he's not a powerful guy, so that's what we got. Those are hard front kicks? They're not. They're not hard front kicks. This is the impact of a front kick from Sean Strickland. This was the impact. Hard front kicks. That's the culture we're in. MMA fans love Sean Strickland's political beliefs. Me too. And personally, and personality. So any criticism of him is shameful, brainless fools. That's the thing. People can't separate liking a fighter and also just admitting when their performance sucks. I like Sean Strickland. His performance was boring as fuck. How is it so hard to understand? They're starting to call me the realist because I'm keeping it real on this shit. Shout out to Bedtime MMA. He set the record straight as well. I want to shout out Bedtime as well. Shout out Bedtime as MMA for, basically saying the same shit. Real recognize real, man. Lucas, you're persuading nobody. If I can't persuade you on this, then I'm sorry. You have the blindfolds of delusion. I'm not saying that Paulo Costa wasn't at fault for making this boring as well. What I am saying is you cannot sit here and tell me that 25 flimsy teep kicks to the body and 10 jabs at a WMMA range, shadow boxing range, and 3 real punches is entertaining. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it at all. And you also can't tell me that Sean Strickland was really trying to commit to his strikes. Absolutely fucking not. You can literally just see him walking into range, throwing strikes at shadow boxing range, and every now and then he actually lets go a combination with sting on it. He lands, Costa shells up, and Sean Strickland gets back to flimsy teeps. He's got Costa up against the fence. He lands a hard hook. He counters with a good shot. And nothing else comes. Back to the flimsy teep kicks. The last 10 seconds of the fight, throws a flying front kick to the face. Damn near knocks Paulo Costa down. Lights him up a little bit. Where was 10? I don't want that energy the whole fight because you'd gas out, but where was 10% of that? Just 10% of that. Just 10% of that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, you got my point. Straight up, dude. Straight up. Let's go. Let's go. Jump scare. Let's go. We're winning the war. We're winning the war. We're winning the war, baby. I'm convincing the masses. Nah, when you're cooking, you're cooking. Yeah, thank you for the $2 the fam got. I'm telling you, man. Hey, bring the heat. Bring the heat. Remember Volkanovski saying, Max, bring the heat. We're cooking now. Straight up. Tard, man. You're L, bro. You're L, bro. Okay. Dead fight, but 90% cost his fight. This ain't track. Bro, Sean Strickland, whenever he would actually throw anything with sting on it, would land easily and wouldn't get countered and wouldn't get punished for it. What do you guys not understand about the fact that just because you're pressing the action doesn't mean that you're committing to strikes either? Sean Strickland's strikes were flimsy teep kicks to push Costa away to get him out of range. That was his game plan. And it sucked to watch. And Costa, I swear, bro, I was complaining about this on my live stream. I was saying, dude, what is Costa doing? He's giving Strickland way too much respect. This dude doesn't have any power. He doesn't have pop. Whenever Costa would hold his ground, he would do well. And he started doing that a lot more as the fight progressed. I swear Costa was landing more significant strikes. It's just that the total strikes were totally in favor of Sean Strickland, and the significant strikes were close because, of course, Costa would throw more, but Strickland lands every single one of his. And that's the annoying part. Sean Strickland's efficient with every significant strike that he throws. He'll land it, but he hardly throws them. And then in the last 10 seconds, it's like there's a magnet attached to Paulo Costa where Strickland lands at will. Listen, I respect the fighter for going in there and like doing whatever it takes to win. Like, I used to say this before I had a YouTube channel when I was making MMA content on TikTok. I used to say, I hate Adesanya's style sometimes, but I respect the fact that he goes out there and gets the win by any means necessary, even if he has to make a fight a little bit boring. He's just going to keep showing up, getting his win money, and that's fine. I respect it. He wants to make a living. He wants to remain champ. It's good for his career. It's good for him. But, I don't have to absolutely love every single one of these performances. And it is good. Minimal CTE for Sean Strickland. He hardly gets hit. They've done studies at Extreme Couture, and I've been a part of these studies where they hook up headgear and it basically calculates how often you get hit. Sean Strickland was the least hit guy in the Extreme Couture gym during these studies. He doesn't take a lot of damage. I got hit quite a bit. I got hit quite a bit when I was in that study, guys. China Tracy sold out to Izzy Mob. Dude, I'm not Izzy Mob just because I'm saying Sean Strickland's performance was boring. I'm not even saying that was like a typical Sean Strickland performance. That was especially boring for Sean Strickland. Plotty Plotster Oaf Costa couldn't handle the forward pressure of Diddy shot. There was nothing Diddy about Sean Strickland's boxing, bro. Sean Strickland's boxing was more so timid. The timid boxing of Sean Strickland. The defensive boxing of Sean Strickland, but it was not. Diddy boxing is when you're in there and you're throwing and you're willing to take some shots, right? And you're landing hard shots. There was nothing Diddy about Sean Strickland's boxing. He says, let's go to war, and then proceeds to jab and front kick for 25 minutes every time. Sounds routine performance by Sean. I don't know why people expect anything different. I mean, I think Strickland does actually hype himself up, and like he feels like he's going to war, and you're still throwing kicks and you're still getting hit every now and then. You're still checking kicks. Like things hurt in there, and it's still a fight. I don't mind him hyping, getting hyped, but like saying war, we're going to war. And the thing that pisses me off is that people just lap it up and they'll treat it as if it's always the case that Strickland brings war. Like people just eat it up. That's what annoys me. Not Strickland necessarily doing it, although that is funny and it is annoying too. But it's annoying when fans say Strickland's, like when fans will say, I don't want Hamzat touching a belt. Give it to Strickland. We don't need crotch sniffers in this sport, right? When they'll say something like that, or this guy's boring. Give him to Strickland. Like, you get what I mean? That's what gets annoying.